probably going to get me longer because
She
I'm
more.
wordy. Psalm 139, verse 16. All the days are ordained for me. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. Thank you for praying for us fiercely. The reason we could breathe or take a drink of water or a bite to eat is because you're lifting us up. Please don't stop. I have this fear that you'll stop. And I know it's illogical, but that's my fear. I had the privilege of a changed life in 1991. I'm going to treat you like you're sitting in my living room. And in 1991, I was 18 years old. I went to a young life camp and learned who God really was for the first time ever, and asked Jesus to forgive my sins and to come into my heart. And my life was transformed. In 1996, I had this Bible. I heard a talk. This does all go together. And in the back of my Bible, I signed my name. It says January 6, 1996. And this is my contract with God that I made that day. It's blank. It just has my name, trusting God with my life, who has ordained my steps, to fill in every single part of my life of whatever would bring him the most glory. 2008, I fell in love with this wonderful man I'm so thankful I get to do life with. In 2010, we had Nora. We were pregnant within 2 months. She was a miracle baby. We learned that later, when we had 4 years of infertility, that it's literally a miracle that she is alive. God wanted us to have her. We are so grateful for her. And then we had 4 years of infertility and lots of prayers. So many of you were journeying along with us during that time. We had miscarriages. We had lots of hills and valleys. And so then we looked into adoption. And through looking at all the options, we really had peace. My mom is the person who brought up snowflakes, that is saving a life. And through much prayer, we really feel like that's what God wanted us to do. So there are 600,000 frozen embryos in the United States. And someone just texted me this morning, Tracy did, that Jude and Grayson could just still be frozen right now in limbo. But instead, they were brought to life. And Grayson had 14 months, or Jude had 14 months here on earth, and then he has eternity now without the fall, with just complete, he's having a blast. He does not miss us. He's having so much fun. And to him, there's no sense of time in heaven. We'll be there in just a flash of an eye. He'll. The stats were really low when we received the embryos in me, that we would be pregnant with twins. And we were overwhelmed with joy that God gave us a double blessing. After 4 years of waiting, it was such an amazing gift from God to have a double blessing. Jude is our firstborn son. We named him after the tribe of Judah that Jesus came from, the book of Jude. And Jason really likes the musician Jude Cole. So all those reasons, he's Jude. So who is Jude? He's a bundle of curiosity, adventure, explorer, joy giver. I remember on the cruise, they were They were 9 months old, and we took them sometimes to the pool this summer, but they couldn't crawl yet, and so we would just hold them, or we had these little things we'd send them on. But the cruise was in September, so they were crawling at this point, so there was this little kiddie area for them. And Jude, he is more adventuresome than Grayson. Grayson's a little more cautious at first. As soon as he figured out the water moved, or there's little streams of water coming down, he was just all in, and he would just crawl around that, and the water's on his face, and water's all over him, and he just smiled so much. It was just so fun to watch him so come to life and have so much fun in the water. Another memory I have is Nora was such a different baby where we barely had to lock any cabinets. You just told her no, she'd never touch it again. Boys are a little different. So we had some locked and some not, and one that wasn't locked was underneath Jason's bathroom. And that's where all of his medicines were that are all child-proof, so everything was safe in there. But they loved opening that cabinet, and those medicines are shakers. They make great shakers, and they would shake them, and they'd go all over the house, and Jason said he would just come home and never know where they'd be in the house because they just had so much fun exploring. He also, he played hard from when his feet hit the ground. He hated his diaper changed because that would take away from time to play. So that was always a struggle, but he is having a blast now. You guys probably read the poem in there. He has no more diapers to change. And he and Grayson always knew where each other was. Because Jason, who put in this bookmark, Jason did such an amazing job on that bookmark for you all. Said, you never know if your brother's doing something even more fun and you may want to join in. So they always were together, following each other, having fun. And it's been a different week. We're not used to having to be on the ground so much with Grayson. He just always had a playmate, and he's trying to figure it out too, as we are. Nora has an amazing school that's all praying for her, loving her, supporting her in every way, and we're so grateful to CLS and their support during this time. Thank you. She got a blanket, and the blanket is a big hug, and she's walking down the stairs yesterday and had it around her, and she said, I feel like the whole world is hugging me. And she had the blanket on. Jason and I took turns putting either the boys to bed or Nora to bed, and every night when it was my turn to put the boys to bed, Jude and I would do it one at a time, of course. And that's the one time Jude, he'd want you to hold him, but then he would look away. But when it was time for bed, he would go cheek to cheek with me. We're both looking at his bed, and I would pray, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May his glorious face shine upon you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and grant you peace. May you always know you're loved and you are fought for. And he knows that, and he was loved every moment, and I have no regrets. I know he knew he was so loved by everyone who knew him. And that's another thing that came to mind 21 years ago. I don't know where it is in my Bible, but somewhere I wrote the words, no regrets, no reserves, no retreats. I've done my best. It constantly goes through my head. No regrets, no reserves, no retreats. A missionary who was dying in China wrote those words in his Bible. And I have regrets, of course. I haven't done everything right. But I'm so thankful I could say with Jude, I have no regrets, no reserves, no retreats. And will you pray that for each member of our family? That they could say that Jason could say that, we could all say that. Because Jude knew he was so loved. He had the most amazing dad. Jason could make the boys and Nora laugh like no other, deep belly laugh. If I would try, they'd give me kind of a polite laugh, trying to good try, Mom. But Jason, they would just, Jude wanted to play, you just start running. Crawl running. And Jason would get down on the ground and go after, and really would make them laugh like no other. Last two things I wanted to share. One, a lot of you have asked what you could do. Thank you for all you've done already. And what I ask is for you to, if you would like, if you feel led, is to pray for us for a year. And if anyone's comfortable do that, I'm asking you to take your phone out right now. Go ahead and make noise. Take your phone out. And I'd like you to choose a day in your calendar on your phone and write in it right now to whatever you want to say. Pray for the Bones, Jude, Jason, Kori, Nora, Grayson, our extended family. And put it on repeat every week for a year. Everything's hard. Going to Target was hard. Driving the road to the hospital, my chest got tight. Going in our garage is hard. Going our driveway is hard. Eating a meal is hard. I'm a good writer. I could write better than I talk. So we've made a Caring Bridge link that you'll have updates throughout the year, how we're doing, how you could pray. We talked with Jim and Kevin. They thought that was the best way to do it if anyone wants to join us in prayer. And I think that link's on the bookmark. The link's on the bookmark. You don't have to have a password. So it came about when Moses held his hand up that Israel prevailed. And when he let his hand down, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands were heavy. Then they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. And Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on one side and one on the other. Thus his hands were steady until the sun set. So Joshua overwhelmed Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. I know the only reason we're standing is because you're holding our hands up. So we ask you, keep holding our hands up, please. Thank you, Jason's work, for giving your vacation days, for him to have time off. Thank you, Renew, for saying you'll take care of everything and to take as long as I need. I can't imagine counseling anyone right now. The last thing I want to share with you is about the day that Jude went to heaven. And what God showed me. I'm trained in some inner healing prayer from years ago. So I'm going to take you through 4 scenes and tell you what God showed me. I want you to have this too. When I found Jude hurt, what God showed me was Jesus. If this was Jude, Jesus was over him, totally covering him. You couldn't see any of him. Jesus was over all of him in that moment when he was hurt. We then went to Overland Park Regional Hospital. There was over a dozen people doing everything they can. Happens to be a trauma hospital, which I didn't know, but everyone that needed to be there was there. And so it's a big room, and at one point we were sitting across the room, but there's full access to the room. It's not a door. You can fully see everything in the room. And they're doing everything they can to save his life. And I prayed to the Lord Jesus to show me the spiritual, what was happening, and what was seen was the empty, the doorway that there wasn't a wall that we were looking through was a huge angel, and his arms went from one wall to the other outstretched over Jude. And I prayed later, and there was angels all along the walls inside of the room too. The next scene was when we got to Children's Mercy Hospital downtown. And Jason and I were sitting like a double seat. Jude was across from us in a room. There was glass doors that they kept shut to try to keep him warm, but we could see through all the glass doors. And when I asked God to reveal his truth, what he showed was Jesus had his arms around both Jason and I, hugging us, holding us, as we were praying for our son. And the very last scene I want to share is the room in ICU where we said goodbye to him here on earth. And in that room, there was a thickness of the Spirit of the Lord just hovering in that room, and it was beautiful, sparkly, shimmering, just flowing throughout that room with us. Jude is in the full presence of Jesus Christ. Jude's earthly body has saved at least 2 babies' lives. My hope, our hope and prayer is that through his death from this earth, he would eternally save more. Thank you.